So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Hey everyone, Erik Bernard here, and I'm a writer, director, producer, and yeah, it's been great. You know, I've managed to work with Ben on a couple of projects now, and it's been an amazing experience. And here today to support the Action Fest here, and hopefully, you know, spread some knowledge and some support some other independent filmmakers looking to get better and looking to produce more projects.
Awesome.
Well, welcome.
So, go ahead.
I said welcome. Glad to have you, Erik.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah. So you know, let's get right to it. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into filmmaking.
Well, I started out as a writer. You know, I served in the military, and I needed a little outlet to kind of help me kind of process some things and really, you know, escape, and started writing. You know, I wasn't very good at the beginning, and I was fortunate enough to, you know, go in and take some classes at SCAD University. I had some great teachers. One of my teachers, Mr. Michael Nolan, produced Mr. Holland's Opus, and my other teacher, David Engelbach, he wrote Over the Top, Professor Stallone. So I had these amazing teachers that really helped me, you know, polish my my abilities, and you know, from there I won my first screenplay competition shortly after, and then I managed to pick up a manager, and you know, from there it was just producing and figuring out how to get these films made. You know, you reach a point as a writer where, you know, you can write forever, but if you're not getting it to the right people, or if it's not being, you know, produced, you have to figure out a new strategy, and producing became my new strategy, and I was able to produce a couple of films for some other people, learn how to do it, and eventually produce my own film. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. And along the way, I've managed to make some really good, you know, connections on distribution, and really understand, you know, how to finance films on both a micro to a medium budget level.
Gotcha. That's.
I'm gonna interrupt just for a second, and so please stay with us, Erik. So I'm gonna interrupt because we need to push this out to Facebook, and we kind of jumped the gun. So my producers are telling me to just chill for just a second, and if we can wait just a pause for just a second, and we're gonna move this out, if that's okay.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure everybody gets to see this. For every other part of the festival, individuals have been handling or viewing everything behind the paid curtain, as it were. But for today, for the panels, we definitely, because this is about getting information out to as many filmmakers as possible, all this is free. So all of this is going out on as many platforms as we could put it on. The main one being our Facebook page. But we'll also be reposting these things to YouTube, because we know from Erik and from a lot of our other guests, we're going to get a lot of really good information.
Give you a little technical difficulty. Hold on just a second.
Well, this is COVID too. This is 2020, right? It's pandemics and learning new skills and talents and abilities in order to keep things moving forward. So technical difficulties.
Yes, you know, the film. It's no issue. I finally got Hulu the other day, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and I have Amazon Prime, Netflix, and you know, that's where I do most of my media consumption. So I picked up Hulu, and I've been going through their whole platform. It's kind of new to me, so it's been fun. I've been watching Castle Rock, and everyone's been telling me, you know, you should check out Castle Rock. I heard it's pretty good. And now that I'm finally watching it, is pretty good.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
All right.
My first question: is there action in
it? It's a Stephen King, you know, so like it's kind of building up right now. So the action so far has been very minimal.
Okay.
But, you know, Stephen King and most of his action is going to be inside the mind. You know, all that good stuff. So
is that the kind of stuff you like to make, or do you just like to consume?
I like to see, you know, a good variety of stuff. You know, there are times when I can enjoy good action, you know, and see some of the plot manifest itself in the form of action. Then there are other times where I think the story kind of demands a little bit of that you know, conflict to be in the mind, you know, across desks, you know, and through words. So I like a good balance, I would say,
Gotcha.
of both. Yeah.
No, that definitely makes sense. You know, we lean towards the action. I know a lot of your projects have had action elements in them, which is we'll get to talk about a little bit of that as well. So before we get into too deep, I want people to get to understand who Erik Bernard, producer extraordinaire, is. So let's ask you a couple of fun questions. So is is there any true but crazy facts about you? Something we would never guess looking at clean-cut ex-military Erik.
Well, I grew up in the South Bronx, you know, in the '80s, in the middle of the crack era. So, you know, and a lot of people think I came from the suburbs somewhere when I meet them, and so I get that a lot. Oh, you come from, you know, where, you know, they think I come from Mayberry somewhere or something. But no. So, you know, as far as that struggle to kind of rise above, you know, the constraints of poverty and things like that, I think that that gives you a tremendous edge in your filmmaking, where there's a lot of authenticity and rugged realism that you kind of capture in your writing and your outlook, you know, and I think I'm fortunate to have that.
Is that a Bronx thing? Is that what you're feeling? Or there's
Yeah, it's definitely a Bronx thing. Yeah, yeah. I'm a little partial to the Bronx, I'd have to say, and my wife is from Brooklyn. You know, I have to remind her every now and then that the Bronx is the best borough. And the one thing we can agree on is, you know, a healthy dislike for the Red Sox and everything Boston. And so, you know, that's our you know, uniting thread, or the peacemaker, you know, kind of conflict, you know, that we can agree upon.
So what is that? Now you're in Texas. Is there a ranger or love at all with that?
My dad, you know, is a Cowboys fan, so, you know, I'll support the Cowboys, you know, here and there. You know, if the Giants aren't in the playoffs, I'll root for them, you know, and see a team that in the NC East that can make it far. So we have that in common, I guess, when it comes down to sports teams. But the Texas Rangers, you know, I definitely don't cheer for those guys.
All right.
I came from everywhere a little bit, so I spent most of my formative years in Texas. So because of that, I have family from New York, so I'll root for New York when there's an opportunity. But if it's Texas, I'm voting for Texas. It just is what it is. You gotta stay loyal to where you at. This is where my home is. This is what I'm loyal to. If I move, it'll probably change. But until that happens, here is where we are.
I grew up an Oilers fan beside my daddy, and so Oilers aren't in Texas anymore. We got the Texans, but Dallas is my thing for my husband. He's a big Dallas Cowboy fan. But then we have the Buffalo Bills. That's my other love because I got family that, you know, are in that. So, you know.
Okay. Got you. So now we know a little bit about Mr. Bernard, the human being. Let's get into this filmmaking thing. Let's start off with, I'm gonna go into like a heavy one. Off jump, you're just meeting a new guy who wants to be a producer, who wants to get into filmmaking and do exactly what you do. What is one piece of wisdom that you would, like, if nothing else, this is what they need to know, or this is something they need to be thinking about as they're walking down the path that you chose and walked down?
I'd say if you want longevity, you have to seek out mentorship and do some reading. You know, when you jump into producing, you're kind of going from the shallow water to the deep end, and there are so many stories of people that do one film and way because they lose money miserably, and they have, you know, investors chasing them, and it becomes like a really, really bad experience. So the best thing you can do is just make sure that you do as much research as you can and understand as much as you can on the finance, you know, side of the house, and understand what your limitations are, what your constraints. Because, you know, the more you know, the better decisions you make, the better information you can provide your investors, and the better project you'll be able to create. When you don't have that knowledge, you kind of fall prey to the game. And there are a lot of pretenders in the industry that don't know what they're doing, but they talk a great one, and a lot of their knowledge is theoretical and stuff, and you can kind of get lulled to sleep, and it could be a person telling you the truth, but they just don't have the experience level either to really make a profit, and you get stuck on a sinking ship. So I think that's my first element of advice I would give, and my second would be to align with good filmmakers. It's just, sometimes there's a situation where it could be low-hanging fruit and you could jump on a project, but as a producer, that one project could mean 6 to 12 months of your life, and if it's not the best project it can be, if the filmmakers aren't showing up with their A game, and it's not something that makes you feel as though it's the most amazing thing you've ever read or a concept, then you should find another concept instead of settle for something that's okay, and because you could be working on better stuff.
Can I ask a question? So you mentioned the mentors. Talk about a little bit about what that mentorship meant for you. Who was that mentor to you? What did they do where you were green? How did they redirect you and help you to step into the different levels where you said, yeah, I'm picking that up. Yeah, I like that. I'm moving up.
No, that's a good question. I think as a writer, my manager was a mentor, and I had peers groups I joined, other writers that would give me feedback, and sometimes it wouldn't necessarily be good feedback from either source, but it'd be feedback that make me think and challenge me to be better and understand the creative process a little bit more. So as a producer, you got to understand, even if you can't write, you got to understand how other producers think. You got to understand how to get your content in a place where other people, other stakeholders are willing to jump on board. So that's the first thing. On the creative side, you have to understand writing and how creatives think and how creatives need to really inspire other producers, other investors, things like that. So the only way you can do that is to find a creator to understand writing and teach you that. So I was fortunate to have mentors, other peers, and a manager that challenged me to kind of think more like gatekeepers and stakeholders. The second, as a producer, the distributions puzzle is always the hard one, because when you're coming in the game, you think that this, and there are tons of people that will take your film and pretty much steal everything from you, and before you know it, as soon as you sign your contract, you're $80,000 in debt. So in order to understand the distribution game and sales game, you got to find mentors that are willing to sit down with you. And for me, I was I was all about persistent engagement. It's a term that we used before. Where I would make contacts with sales companies and sales reps or sales managers and distributors, and whenever I could, LA, I would take them out to lunch, take them out for a coffee, and I would show up with gifts, where I would send bottles of scotch, and whenever I knew they liked the drink, I would show up, just this, and didn't have a film to sell, didn't have any knowledge, and they would kind of take a deep breath and look at, and they'd say, look, okay, here's how this works. And once you get to that point where they're willing to explain to you how things work and how they see things, then you start to understand how you need to package your films and what a sales company's going to look for and how to get the best deal. So, without that kind of understanding, you can make a great film, but still not make any money. That makes sense.
That's actually something that we've been seeing a lot with a lot of our projects, and the people that we're talking to, our panelists, is that they're reverse engineering as filmmakers. Just like you would in business, they're starting basically at the end and then re-engineering from there. So for instance, you're talking about, you go to a distributor, et cetera, say, what is it you want? What is it you look for? And then you're going back and starting the process. A lot of them are saying, what do I have? I have access to these items, like Robert Rodriguez, and then going back to make the process, to make the product. So it seems like a lot of filmmaking and producing is the same way. You look at what the market is going to desire, or what the people who control the market want, and then you go take that in consideration as you build your art, versus making art and then trying to find people that it lines up with.
Yeah, see, but that's a slippery slope, because the market no one really knows what's going to sell. I mean, that's the big thing that even when I produce, I don't look at a film or a script and tell the creators that, oh, this is commercial. I mean, all I know is a probability. You know, if it can be created to something good and you know, something that's engaging. That's all I kind of look for, because you know, no one really knows what a film's going to do, and the people that really, you know, get to that point are kind of dangerous to creatives, because you know what you end up doing is taking someone's creative thought who may have an original idea, and oh, listen, that idea is here. Why don't you do this, because it's been done 10 times and every year it generates this much, you know, revenue. So as a creative, you got to listen to a little bit of that, because it's two words, show business. But a lot of times as a creative, I only listen to that as much just to make the stakeholder or the gatekeeper not feel disrespected. But I mean, end of the day, you have to create something amazing, and sometimes amazing is going to be original. Amazing is going to be something with fresh eyes, and amazing may be something that person who's telling you what they're looking for may not know they want yet, but they're going to want it once you have it. But if they're paying you for it, you know, that's a different story. You know, you got to give them what they pay you for. But if you're raising the money and stuff like that, you know, and you got to make the best project. And a lot of indie filmmakers, you know, they'll probably get mad at me for saying this, but when you look at their projects, they haven't really invested a whole lot into getting it to a level of quality to where it can compete with, you know, like something you see like on a Netflix, you know, made in the same budget range or something like that.
Gotcha.
And that's the challenge you have, is being able to get a level of quality to where it can hold its own. And because you can't send your film in with a note that says, well, my budget was only 50 grand or my 100 grand, please give me some consideration. I mean, no one cares about that. As soon as your film is released, you know, people will know you have constraints, but your film has to be, you know, at a quality level to you know, compete with, you know, other filmmakers. I mean, the other films that they have, you know, being pitched to them at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a little different time than when people were getting into film and it was actual film, right? And so that in and of itself operated as a quality and a constraint on quantity, right? Now, I mean, my cell phone that I have right now is literally better capable of shooting high definition content in slow motion than the camera I started my company with. It costs more and it is better than my original camera that we first started shooting movies and short projects with, which means literally everybody on the face of the earth has the ability, after you see things like Tangerine or whatever, to go out and shoot a movie with things that they already own. So
100%. You know, I agree with that. You know, totally. One of the things, and I get into arguments with my DP on cameras all the time, because you know, he grew up on big projects, you know, like Spectre and Fast and Furious and some of the original Bond movies, and you know, he's worked on, you know, Panavision's huge dollies and danes and cranes. I mean, and so we get into this discussion all the time when I pick up like a Blackmagic 6K pocket camera, you know, and I'm looking at this camera and I'm saying to myself, like, this is like a revolution here, where you see, you know, Samuel Colt, when he invented the revolver, the quote was, "God didn't make us equal, but Samuel Colt did." I mean, it becomes a level of, you know, a level of commitment you have to the craft at that point, because now you don't have to go buy a $40,000 camera, $20,000, you know, lens package. You have a camera now that can kind of give you a level of quality commensurate with, you know, industry standard. You can find a lens package that works. So now is really, you know, how much have you dedicated to your craft on your lighting? And can you get a good sound engineers, you know, to get on, really come up with a creative, you know, cinematic approach to whatever story you're going to tell. So I definitely agree. Now filmmakers aren't as limited. And to think about when, you know, Spielberg was doing Jaws and he had to work with film, you know, and slice and cut this thing, or if you read about George Miller, when he did the first Mad Max, how he spent a year editing it, you know, with you know, original film. And now we can do, you know, jump on Premiere Pro, DaVinci, or Avid, and, you know, really the only limitation is time. You know, really, how much time do you have to really play with this and get this story where it needs to be. So I definitely agree with that.
Let me ask you a question. So, you know, we talked about quality, and I would say a lot of independent producers, directors, anyway, creators, they're wanting to do things their own way and not necessarily stay with the status quo of what the industry has done for the years and years and years. And so that's what makes independent film beautiful. But when you're looking at quality and something comes across your desk, and I know you have a lot of partners that you touch with, what are you looking for financing? What catches your eye?
Well, I think that
where you'll finance it. It's like, yeah,
well,
fantastic. It meets this criteria for what we like.
I think that there are a couple of factors. The first is
Broke up a little bit
I
there.
think we're freezing a little bit. I was just like, yeah.
yeah. So to give you an idea, when people show up and you read their script as creative, you know,
Eric,
you
you're
can
gonna
tell how many drafts they did on this, how much time has gone into the backstories. They breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Yeah.
There you go.
How about now? Am I doing a little bit better?
Yeah, much better.
Much better now.
Okay. So I was saying that when a project comes across our desk, we can look and see how much time was put into the development, and really it becomes a question. Okay, you come with a concept now. You want us to raise money, and we have to run development. So that already becomes more work when we got our own things that we're working on that are already through development that we're raising money on. So if it's something, we look at the amount of effort it's going to take for us to get it to where it needs to be, so we can even approach, industry execs, sales companies, and distributors and stuff like that. Because if we go with something that before is ready, then that person's not going to read our next project. So like from there, it starts to diminish our relationships, where even if it's a pass, if they know that, we brought our A game and it was something really worthwhile and great, but they're doing something similar, or something else is going on and they have to pass on it, they still know it was good. They'll say, hey, send me what else you got, and we'll keep it going and we'll go to the next one. But if it's something that's not good, that person may not get back to us, or that, they're like, thinking to themselves, why are you wasting my time when I got things I'm doing too, and sending me stuff that hasn't been vetted out. Obviously, these people don't appreciate, our relationship. So that's the first thing we look at. The second thing is the level of investment the creative comes with. If it's something that they believe in and they're thinking that this is great and is something amazing, and you ask them, okay, so how much money are you going to put in it? Oh, no, I'm not putting anything in it. That becomes, well, you don't believe in it then. It's what because guess what? Every film that I've ever approached investors on, I've put my own money in. I believe in this. And so that's another sign. So like, if you're not willing to put your own money in, then maybe you don't believe in it. Why should we believe in it? So that becomes a test, that we ask ourselves, and we ask the creatives too, to kind of see where they are. Now, if they don't have money to put into it, it's fine. But then that's when you see, okay, show me the sweat equity you put into it then. If you don't have any money to put into it, then show me the time, the level of commitment you put into this, this project. And ultimately, and today we want to be inspired. Everyone, the reason why we do this is to be inspired. If we're going to develop a project, and it's just something I had a talk with a creative a while ago, develop a project is going to be, 1 to 2 years of our life, maybe more, for us to kind of sit down there and develop it, get it to where it needs to be, to raise money on it, to go produce it, to go sell it, like 2 years minimum, of our time. So it has to be something that's worth 2 years of our life, because how many projects can a person really do in their lifetime? So like, and if it's something that you haven't really invested in, something you're kind of like thinking, well, I got 5 of them because I've been working on 5 things, and, I'm not really, we want to see that one product you spent 5 years on, and it's in the best condition, it can be in. It's a product that we really want to see.
Exactly. And it's weird because, you know, I was looking up some of the prolific filmmakers. I think Alex Ferrari did a podcast, one of his, and he was talking about prolific filmmakers. And for some people doing legit movies, a prolific filmmaker might have 20 or 30 features. And that really struck me because I probably knew that in the back of my head, but I hadn't really thought about that. That's only, I mean, those are 2 to 3 years of their life, you know, possibly per project. Sometimes they're overlapping, but for some people, they're babying that project all the way through. That's really not as many opportunities to make film as you might think. So I've been very interested in some of the people who can condense the schedules down to 2-3 weeks, a month of shooting, and they got 2 or 3 projects coming out a year. That's something I've been interested in seeing.
Well, I can say that that comes down to team. As one person, you can't do that. You know, you drive yourself, you know, crazy trying to do that. You're talking, you know, like 16-hour days. If you got any relationships, kiss them goodbye. That level of obsession. So, you know, and I've tinkered along those lines before, trying to do multiple projects. You know, at one point I was writing three scripts a year, you know, and doing like 5-6 drafts on each one. So, and it was very time consuming. You know, as a producer now, when you start making film, I can say it's possible to do overlap. I think that, but the way you have to do it, or the way it's been working for me, is that if a feature film, I have, you know, a team I work with, and we sit down, we all read the script, we go through everything, we do the table reads, we get everything going. Now, while we're packaging that film, we already have other scripts that are written, and now those, we're generating the shot list now, we're doing storyboards now. So those films are kind of like getting teed up to where when we get to the point, it's just the table reads to finish them up, to make sure the talents are engaged, and really putting on, you know, this character. And, you know, I can see it being done that way. And then obviously your workflow has to be like tip top, to where when you're collecting media and content, that's going right to an assistant editor that's getting, you know, assembled, you know, just as soon as you finish, or if not weekly, so that, you know, as soon as you wrap, you take like a couple days off, and then you go right back in the edit room, you get that where it needs to be, and you start working on your cut, and you work to get it to where it is. Your composer gets time to kind of go there and you know, work on it simultaneously to kind of come up with ideas. And so like it's possible to do, I think maybe, you know, in an 18 months time frame, you know, I think you can do like a high level quality, maybe 2 feature films.
Okay.
You know, but once you get to 3, and, you know, if you get over to 3 to 4, I think that there's no way for you to really, you know, commit to yourself to the discovery process where, you know, I discovered something new in an editing room that might work better, and you may not be getting the best out of your footage.
So that makes sense. A lot of people do the scripted version. It's not. A lot of times it's a experienced team. It's a small crew, minimal locations, minimal everything, and a lot of time they're actors who are good with improv. So they skip some of the time of a traditional project because these people are good off the cuff. So yeah, you're definitely right about that. That's not going to be something that everybody is even going to want to do or has the ability to do. Yeah.
That's a good question. Erik, I know that we mentioned team in this space. You are connected to a lot of different teams. And so you have like animation, you've got your Chinese affiliate. So are you still doing with the Machinarium company?
Oh, yeah.
Red Dragon Media, that's your Chinese affiliate, right?
Yeah.
And so Have Not, is that still there, or is it Rebel 6?
Well, no, currently I'm resting my hat at TLG Motion Pictures. Okay. Rebel 6 is a company we have at Texas, just so that we can, you know, maximize on local incentives and stuff like that, and keep things, you know, kind of, you know, keep things growing on the indie level with our local friends here in Texas. So basically, you know, TLG Motion Pictures, you know, is where we do TV and we do our films under, and Rebel 6 is, like I said, a local, you know, production where you know, we run a lot of our rentals through and things like that, so that, you know, we have a local team, you know, here in Texas as well.
So the reason why I asked that question is I don't really think that a lot of people understand the benefit of teams, where some, you know, where you have your animation space, where somebody really is excellent in animation, where you have a story, but you want to develop it in that space, and what they have within their own environment that can be leveraged as well. So I would like for you to speak a little bit on that and how that actually helps as well when you're talking or you're pitching to investors.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think having a team, you know, kind of helps instill confidence in your ability. Where, you know, Red Dragon's operating out of Hong Kong now. So for example, but they have roots in the shipping and manufacturing, you know, where they were able to kind of, you know, fulfill a lot of the merchandise requirements for Despicable Me and other, like, you know, huge franchises. And so having someone that understands merchandising, for example, on your team, where you can build a merchandise plan and show how it's going to work and say, okay, on this day, go to this office, you know, we'll host you here. And the same with Machinarium, where they have, you know, a big studio on the Cinquetta lot in Italy, where you can go there and look at this stuff and see what they're doing. You know, adds a whole lot of credibility to whatever plan you're pitching. If you're saying, you know, you're going to make a film, because a lot of times if you talk to anyone, especially before you've actually made films or gotten to, like, you know, a big budget level to where, you know, your reputation or resume speaks for itself, you have to be able to kind of instill that confidence. The only way you can do that is if you have teams that can do that. And one of my other partnerships that I've had a long time was with Pin Pictures, of one of my European partners, John Hornschmeyer. And, you know, another guy who, you know, you have people that are going to festivals over there, people that can kind of give you the pulse of what, you know, is going on in Europe, or help you apply for European incentives if you're looking to produce a film there. You know, so teams are very important in a global market to really maximize your opportunities. And when it comes to, you know, really growing your ability and growing as a filmmaker, I didn't really start exploding forward until I started helping other people. So finding teams and bringing something to someone else that was a little bit further along than I was helped me establish more credibility and helped me learn, okay, I wouldn't have this opportunity now because my projects are maybe 2 years behind in development, and this one's ready to go. How can I help this person? And then in the process, you know, you're able to increase your range and increase your credibility. So teams are, I definitely think teams are important. Now, the other thing too, as an independent filmmaker, when you look at Rob Rodriguez and El Mariachi, when that film he made for $7 grand, I mean, he Rebel Without a Crew, it's a great book, but he did that because he had teams. He had people that were able to come out there and believe in him and help you go. And if your team doesn't believe in you as a creative, then, you know, you got to find a new team, is what I would say. That's where it becomes, you know, toxic, where if someone doesn't think you're capable of you know, writing a script or directing a film and not willing to help you get better, then you got to find a new team, or you know, or accept the fact that, you know, that energy is going to bring you down and you may never achieve your goal.
And you definitely have to be active about a lot of those things. I think a lot of people get into film that I've seen, that there's a lot of people we started getting into film with, you know, 7-8 years ago, that are no longer involved at all. And I think they thought that if I'm good enough or if I'm this or that enough, everything will just come to me. And I'm like, yeah, man, some people get that fast track to success and fame or glory or whatever it is you're chasing. But for most people that I've met, it's a build, and it's a very conscious build. And many people don't know this, but I'm typically relatively introverted. But when it comes to film and business, like, I have to go out and find what I want, and I have to ask for what I want, and I have to be very direct about what I'm doing. I have to promote. Like, I didn't even have an Instagram until one of my guys on my team was like, "Ben, you have to get Instagram." He was like, "It's popular, people are on it. You have to do it." And I was like, "Fine, whatever." And so we had great success with that. But that's not my natural. It's not how I'm naturally built. Like, it's an active It's an active thing. It's something that I have to do on purpose because it's a business and no one is trying to hand you anything. And all people care about, typically, in my experience, is results. You can prove to them that you're serious about what you're doing and you can start showing some kind of results, even if they're not great, but that they are results. It makes the game a little easier.
Absolutely. You know, I think, and you got to put yourself out there. I mean, being a filmmaker, it puts you in a really vulnerable, spot where people have to review your work. You got to listen to feedback. So you have to take a lot of criticism, and and sometimes when people are established, sometimes those attitudes in the industry aren't really positive at all. That they're really negative. That they're people that are hate their job, people that don't want to be there, people that are angry. And so there's a certain level of confidence you got to have in yourself and your abilities, and sometimes like you said, you got to go out there and speak out. A funny story, I remember the first agent I ever spoke to, I wrote this script that was a page finalist. I knew it was a good script, and I got an endorsement from NASA. I mean, it was one of those projects where I was really proud of on a sci-fi, and he read it. He goes, hey, yeah, I read it. It's an okay script. I wasn't overly impressed with it. I'm like, okay, cool. So he's talking to me about it, and he goes, and he said, what I recommend you do is go somewhere where they don't have something, make maybe a pizza shop, and open up a pizza shop there. and I started laughing. I said, hey, what? I'll open a pizza shop in your neighborhood. Then how about that? He goes, no, you won't. My house costs $15 million. You'll never live in my neighborhood. And so then, I mean, that's a punch in the face from a big time, agent. And, you have to take that kind of stuff in stride and know you're good.
Awesome.
And know that, okay, I'm going to remember this. And, and one day I'm going to shove those words down your throat here, buddy, but that's the level of confidence you got to have when people test you. And a lot of times people want to test you like that to see how you respond, see if you quit. Because there are a lot of people that don't make their deadlines, a lot of people that don't deliver a film on time, that quit, that people don't trust to give 100% because that they just don't have the stamina or the mental fortitude. So things like that sometimes end up being just really reaction tactics to see how you respond and see if you're just gonna tap out when just over some harsh words. Because when you're alone in the room, editing, on your 16th hour of like your second week, no one's there to motivate you, and sometimes those doubts you have in your mind are louder and more impactful than negative comments coming from people like that. So you just got to be strong.
So self-motivation is a strong component in being a filmmaker, is what I'm hearing. I've always thought that, because to me, I saw it as an entrepreneurial venture. It was artistic, but it was entrepreneurial. And I knew from being entrepreneurial requires you to have the ability to get up and make things happen, even when everyone doubts you. And here's the thing. I remember, our company, my personal production company, Ballistic Blade Entertainment, that one. You see it, it's a crazy patch. And I'll never forget this. When I first created the logo for the company, all I did was get pushback. People, it's not classic enough, it's not traditional, we need to do this. I had one of my friends did a full-blown presentation on why we should change the logo. Another one of my friends hated the name. It was all this stuff. And I had a vision. I was like, we're young, we're going to be hyper aggressive. I need you to remember who we are. I want something that's striking when you see it, something that looks good on a t-shirt, right? And it was funny because I was like, well, I know what I think works, and until you can give me something better, this is what we're doing. But even inside of my circle, I was getting constant pushback on what we were doing or the way that we were doing it. And had I not had a level of confidence, I would not have been able to succeed the way we were able to succeed with the level of success we've had. I also had something that is kind of petty. It is called the wall of fraud. And ever since I started being a business owner and doing different businesses, I have kept track of people who were just like outright disrespectful. Filmmakers at home, I'm not saying that you need to do this, but I'm saying I'm often motivated by negative reinforcement. When people talk smack and tell me I can't do something, it motivates me
Oh yeah.
to go harder. That's just how I'm built, right? And so I had a thing on my wall. It's called the Wall of Fraud. I had a dream board and I had a wall of fraud of everyone who would be sick burned by any levels of success I would arrive at. And it wasn't that I didn't want well for them. It wasn't saying we weren't friends anymore, but it was just a recognition that there were some people who it is going to hurt your soul when I get where I'm going. And it kept me motivated in some of those dark times. So. Yeah.
No, hey, you definitely got to figure out how to transform everything into positive motivation. I think that for me, I've run into a couple of fraudsters and people that have pretended, you know, over the years, and the valuable lessons there and stuff, and you know, so it's one of those things where I definitely think that you got to keep track of that and see what lessons to be learned there, and how it's possible to avoid getting caught up again. Because the worst thing is when you go down that road too long with people that waste your time and waste your resources. It kind of you know, starts to diminish your dream, and you know, and you got to recharge that a little bit. I mean, it's like it's hard to really see the impact they have on you, but it does become a weight, and there's always collateral damage. People that you were talking to that you have to go back and inform that you're not working with someone, and they're gonna like, why, you know, and we thought you were so great, and you got to figure out a PC way of kind of explaining, you know, because they tricked me and I'm an idiot. That's why. And so it's definitely, you know, a hard thing to do, and I think that when it comes to teams, you know,
We're losing you. I think we're losing you.
A little bit. We'll give him a minute, catch up with us. So shout out everybody, and I'm doing a watch party right now, so I'm watching my watch party and questions they have, and then I'm watching I'm trying to watch our questions over here for any questions that come through for the panel. We got some good ones. So I want to shout out everybody who's attending. I see Marco's over there, Marco and Angela. I see Erica, I see Clifton, Michael Walcott, see you, baby. Carolina Marie, Amy Gaines. Yeah, we got a couple people on my page that are plugged in. Yeah, as a matter of fact, and Marco and Angela just said, turn that negativity into strength and positivity. The only person you have to prove anything to is you. Yes, those are facts. How do you feel about that, Danielle?
I completely agree. Sometimes you have to get rid of those self-saboteurs that want to bring you down and think that you have no capabilities, and you get to pivot and figure out where your own opportunities are, and don't wait for people to give you an opportunity yeah, so you don't have to latch on to somebody else. Make your own opportunities. They're always there.
Yeah, I see it like, it's always, when I hear pivot, I always think like basketball, because I used to play, I was like a forward, but I was also more like I jumped high, so I really like playing center. And so if I was coming down the court to do something and, you know, trying to shoot to the rim and there was some sort of defense where I couldn't get past the guy, you don't stop moving forward. You might turn your back on them to post up, but you're still moving forward. It's not ideal, but you continue to move forward. Continue, back them up, back them up. And then when the opportunity comes, you feel some weakness on one of those sides, pivot, you go to the hole. And so like filmmaking to me, business to me, that's really what it is. That's what it is all of the time. It's doing that no matter what the obstacle or whatever is. Because it's always going to be an obstacle. You know, you got to keep on moving forward. Did we get him back here, or is he still?
Yeah, he's working with this camera. And you know, I want to say something about Erik. A lot of people may not be aware of that, and you as well. You're ex-military, right? Ben?
I'm just a military brat. Everybody thinks I'm military.
Okay. So Eric,
I was a federal armed guard.
oh, well, there you go. You're close enough. So Eric is an Army Ranger, and you know, through probably, obviously, he told you he's from the Bronx. So Bronx, you got some and grit from New York. Texans do too. We have a lot of grit, but going through that elite training, it gives you a lot. And Eric, when you come back on, you feel free to speak about this. But going through all that gives you a certain tenacity and understanding of what it takes to lead and the things that you have to do to get to the next level. And so they go through their different levels of training, and you know, they have a mountain training as well, to where they have to overcome different obstacles within that environment. So he's really key to speak to those various different I guess paths of angst that you have to get over when you're faced with obstacles. So and we all have our things in life. So, but being in this industry and knowing that as much rejection as we do get when you're acting, or submitting scripts, or man, my country voice just gets submitting scripts.
Tell you what, boy, get out here trying to get those dang scripts submitted and get that money in your pocket to fund those productions. That's the hard part.
That is. So, and then, you know, figuring out how to fund your films when you're trying to do these things. If you do a GoFundMe, or if you want somebody to pitch your stuff to, yeah.
Absolutely. That is critical. And there's a lot of things you said in there and that we're talking about that's important. Life is hard. It's not easy. And I think it's the book by Jocko, he's one of the military guys, great guy. He talks about extreme ownership, right? And what we learn, I bet, as you know, as business owners, entrepreneurs, soldiers, people who deal with life and death, and I would also say probably as parents, is that no one cares about your excuses ever. Like, I care about reasons why things happen, but like your kids, if they don't eat that night, you can tell them whatever excuse you want to. You know, soup's cold, axe handle's broken. It doesn't matter to them. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They're not eating. And that is the long and the short of it. And I think when people are put in situations where that's the reality constantly, it changes the way you see things. Like with film, like at the end of the day, if I get $100,000 of somebody's money, go shoot a project, I get in an argument with my wife or something happens with this, they're like, yo, that sucks. That's unfortunate. But when are you finishing that movie so we can recoup on that investment? Like, what are we doing about that, though? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if Eric wants to come on here with just his audio, he doesn't necessarily have to.
Yeah, we just get the audio going. That's good.
Have the audio portion of it. That'll work as well.
Yeah, copy. And so I'm looking at some of the comments here. You know, Marco and Angelo, turn that negativity into strength of positivity. I see that. Let me see here. Then I have Clifton. Oh, appreciate you, Clifton, saying Ben and Melissa Blade was there when I first got into the film business. They helped me with a demo reel, which got me work on American Crime, Airplane Repo, and several other shows. And then it's funny is like Clifton has been, you know, a supporter, donator, and other things we've done. He's come on our shows to help us shoot things like Quickscope and these other projects. But it's exactly what Eric was talking about earlier, where you help people, you know, like you have to give people a shot and you have to give them opportunities for multiple reasons. One, you don't know who's going to be on top later. Your star might be falling and you need that new filmmaker who was a PA in your set that you gave him a shot to maybe cast you in something to get your star back on the rise. Especially in independent film, it's favors. It's a lot of traded favors. Sometimes people, I couldn't pay them when we first started. We didn't have projects that were paid. They were experimental or they were pilots. And so I would bring in people who were willing to work with me, but I had cameras and I'm a flight guy, I'm a stunt guy. So they might have worked for free for me on a project and I show up on their project and I'll do your fight choreography for free, or I'll do your stunts for free, or I'll act for you, shoot for you, or I'll shoot your demo to get you a job. And that's how we we make that trade work. And if you have a good heart and you have good intentions and people like your energy, they'll do for you when they know that you have good intentions. So I think that's important.
You know, I want to say something real quick, just to clarify something that I said earlier. I had mentioned Machinarium, that was animation. It's actually a visual effects company, phenomenal visual effects company. So, but circling it back around, are there any other questions in the space that we maybe could answer while we're, and we could also pass on to Erik as well, if we can't get him back here visually.
Yeah.
Go there.
I did see one that Michael Walcott asked, what would production for a movie script is the same as a script for a game? To be honest, I hate the fact that I can't answer that. There is someone who will be in our later panel. Chill will be interviewing a gentleman named Wesley, and he is an animator. He may be better equipped to answer that question. I'm going to go out from what I've seen, and if it's a good game, yes, because a good game has a story, and it has to have an arc. Like the rules of storytelling don't really change. Great book, Robert McKee, by the way, story, I believe. I think that's Robert McKee. The rules of story telling don't change, no matter what medium you're in. So, yeah, I would assume for gaming it's going to be the same it is for a movie. You need interesting characters. You need he's got to have some kind of a goal. There's got to be some sort of an obstacle. He's got to either recommit to the goal or figure out he needs another goal. It's the same kind of arc, because if you don't have that, it's just mindless action. And this is coming from a guy that loves action movies. Like, if there's no arc, there's no growth in the character or anything. I mean, what's the point of watching it? You got any thoughts on that, Danielle?
Yeah, I would take a step towards Erik's playbook from courting those gaming companies and ask those questions. Get somebody on one of those gaming companies, and I bet you people like to talk about themselves. And so if their self is about games and somebody in that space has the time, then they'll make the time for you, especially if you're how you're courting them. You know, be respectful. But yeah, reach out to a gaming company. If one of us can't answer the question, obviously we're not answering it completely. But yeah, having that full storyline in the arc, and yeah. But exactly. Reach out to those companies and press them for that.
Okay, so here's another one. We got a question by Melissa Urban, another talented, I believe, photographer and actress. I've seen some of her work here in Texas. She's got a question of resource for collabs. I have treatments. You have any thoughts on that, anyone?
Resource for collabs?
Some sort of resource for collaborations and work to do with other people. Where would you recommend she look in order to get collaborations going?
Film Fusion.
Okay.
Go there, put it out there, put a shout out to there.
A lot of people with Film Fusion, yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer Hutchin's site, the Austin, I'm blanking out right now. I can tell you really quickly. Terrible. But yeah, I know Jennifer's site really, really well.
Yeah, I've been to some of her events. It is a
Austin Business Connection. Is that what it is?
Business?
It's Austin Business Connect. AustinEntertainmentBusiness.com.
Yes.
AustinEntertainmentBusiness.com. So, yeah. And in that space, if you're really serious about what you're doing, you need to come serious. Don't come just kind of, I think I might be, or I'm not sure, but come with, yeah, I'm interested in this. How do I do this? And who do I need to connect to and to build relationships?
Also, I mean, being very intentional about, for me, the way I really got going is I went to every mixer anyone threw. I went to any film mixer that was happening, anything film related, any screening anyone was having that I knew, I was at those. Coming to events like this, also important, because there's other filmmakers that are here doing the same thing, looking for actors, actresses, and people to collab with. What else? I mean, I snuck into AFM one time. I don't recommend doing that, but when you could, I did it when I didn't have the money for the festival. We're doing things here now as well with Austin Action Fest. We want to continue to do educational and mixer related projects. This year, we were going to host like a mixer get together somewhere to get everybody mingled up and get, because Austin has a smaller film community than some other places. So in my mind, when you're working at a disadvantage in any realm, you want to be tighter knit. You want a stronger community to combat the lack of resources you might have, the lack of experience you might have. So we'll be doing those things as the pandemic dies down and, you know, stuff stops being impossible for us to gather and talk to one another. Stage 32, I did a lot of free work in the beginning just to get on sets, either as a PA, actor, background. I mean, even as a legitimate, we had a company with film and we were doing productions, I was still doing extra and background work. And I mean, some of these people we work with right now, I remember I already had a production company with business cards. And I was going to sets like Revolution, where I was doing some of the Rodriguez background work. And it didn't pay a lot. And I could have made more money going to work that day. But I have people I've been working with, like Zico Farazada. He's out in Vegas now, stunt guy, martial artist. People like, I think I met Samuel French on one of those sets. Bo Harris. I met Don Darrow, who's still a really, really good friend of mine. He's gotten me work after that day, and he's been in some of my stuff. Don Darrow. Oh my God. BJ, I can forget his last name. I'm blanking. But BJ Morrison, if I'm not mistaken. He's a really good dude. I haven't had to look at his name in a while. So let me look. I'm going to be very, very clear here because he's a good friend of ours and has always helped us.
Indie Film Hustle, you know, go there.
Oh,
if you want to learn something. And Alex Ferrari be on. Yeah. While you're looking at that,
DJ, his name is DJ Morrison. He's another stunt guy, local actor. And he's a singer, musician, as a lot of people are in Austin, Texas. So going and doing a little bit of free work here or low paid work here, but going with the mindset that I'm coming here to fleece this crowd in contacts, very, very beneficial for Ballistic Blade. I think it'll work for anyone else. And yes, it is Film Fusion.
So for 2 years, that's what I did. I was on, when I first got in the business, I just wanted to research it for 2 years. And so I did things for free. I did extra work. I did high principal work. I did all types of things, a lot of commercials. I just wanted to know what it was like to work with different directors, different actors, just to learn the business even more. And nothing was too big or too small in my head. It was just building relationships, and I still feel that way. And so I don't see myself as a prima donna. That's stupid to me. So step into the space where you can help and help somebody else grow, and then, you know, step back and let them lead. Try not to be the head of everything all the time. So figure out where you can fit in and you can help.
I actually love it, and Melissa would know about this. I love not being in charge of everything sometimes, because in a lot of other areas I'm in charge. So sometimes I want to just come to your set and act. I don't want to do anything. Do not ask me about a camera. I don't want to talk to you about nothing. Let me just be here and watch and enjoy someone else doing the job. You know what I mean? I get to pick up things, get to learn things. So it's great to just not be in control and let other people do stuff, and there's no pressure. Like, man, this works great. If it doesn't, it's fine. I'm hanging out, meeting people. It's a great time. Couple things. So Carolina Marie, stunt training Austin area. Ballistic Blade, we are sponsored by Jungle Movement Academy out in Round Rock. So we do training out there. We do some fight choreography. We had some people come up from Houston, Heidi, another actress. And we did some fight choreography. We're doing some stuff for a project called The Guards Themselves that was crowdfunded. So we're training people there. We did another movie, Nothing But the Blood. We did the training at Jungle Movement because they have mats, they have gymnastics, they have coaches that teach parkour, they have rock walls. They do martial arts sometimes there. It's just a good group of people. There was a place called BAM Academy, and BAM Academy closed down. And Jungle Movement is BAM Academy with even more stuff. so there's even more people. So if you want to get any kind of stunt training done in Austin, a good thing would be to meet up with somebody possibly at the jungle who's got some skill sets that you like, or to get someone who does stunts and go to the jungle and do like an open gym and just get in there and practice falls and wrecks and all that kind of stuff. Let's see who else we have. Oh, Marco and Angela also said AEB also changed their name to All Entertainment Business recently. Okay. And Marco and Angela are good people to know. If you want to friend people, the people inside of the comment section are all film people. So, and I get a lot of referrals to business and to potential acting roles from my friends that are in the film business. Like, oh, they need a black dude. Ben. Oh, they need an ex-military looking guy. I know a black guy who's ex-military or looks ex-military, and then I get routed over there. So you want to be friends with people, but also by showing yourself friendly and you passing along work when you think it'll fit people that you know, very appreciative of that. Let's see, Clifton, gotta go and all this craziness. The world settles down. Let me know when you're ready for a trip to Cannes for the film festival. Cannes, I'm sorry. I got a place for you to stay. See, look.
Oh, all right.
See? I can go to France and be all fancy, right? Give him a little hat, my little artist hat. I got a place to crash out. Filmmaker friend who's known him for a while, and now it's a resource I can utilize. Matter of fact, I got invited to get on a plane. Someone's got a small plane he flies next week. Just in a conversation. You're always a conversation away from whatever it is you need. Melissa says, I always sneak in. Thanks for the invite.
Can I throw something out there real quick?
Sure.
I want to, because we're coming up on our closing, and I want to throw this out for Erik. Erik had a film that they just got through producing. It's called A Place We Hide. I want to make sure that people are aware of that. And if there's any trailers or anything out, that people touch base with that on YouTube or anywhere else, Vimeo or online, just take a peek at that. Fragile Storm is something that he also produced a while back, and you can go to fragilestorm.com to look at that. And Hoarders, he is known for one of the producers on Hoarders. Yes. Hoarders is a great show. Make sure you check Hoarders out if you haven't. I'm addicted to Hoarders. And so before I even knew Erik, I was addicted.
What's interesting is that actually segues Arctic as well. It's a four color. Looks really good. Also, and I think that's the poster you had behind him was a poster. I think that was a place we had behind him. But Arctic is another project that looks really, really good. But here, Marco Angela says, for those who want to work on feature films, but with the lack of feature projects locally, what advice do you have for not getting stuck in a commercial world? Danielle, I'll let you take this one first. What is your take on that?
Commercials are a great way to make money to do everything else a lot of times. So I love commercials, so I don't want to have anything against commercials. But if your face becomes one of those faces that is known for the commercial space, it can work for and against you. So have a really good agent that understands that, or a manager that understands where you want to plant your hat, because they will keep pitching you for commercial roles and not the other space if you're not careful. And so and you have to also be careful that this is kind of going around about answering our question. You have to also be careful that when you get feature film roles, they sometimes will not want you to do commercial roles because they want your face to be known in the film space, not in the commercial space. But overseas, it's a different story because they will take you overseas for commercial roles. Because if it's a US distributed film, they want you to not have so much commercial presence because they want to control that when it comes to promoting you. So make sure you have good representation that understands, and you need to communicate that, be firm with what you want to experience in this world we call film and television, and which film and television and the lovely internet. So be firm in that space. And and if you're doing it on your own, which you probably aren't if you're at that level, then you need to be aware of those same type of things. Pitch yourself to the TV and film space a little bit more.
And that's actually one of the things I would definitely say, because we are known primarily for doing film, and I get commercial work, but I was very intentional about what videos I promoted. We're very intentional about our website. Ballistic Blade is very focused on feature films. Now, it has expanded in recent years because most people knew us for film, but even now, I got a call the other day. Someone said, "Hey, I got this idea. I want to do a feature film. I want to sit down and take it and let's talk about that." I was very intentional about it. And so until people, you're going to hear this all day long, because to me, this is all a matter of business. And when people won't give you an opportunity or a shot, that's fine. Those are the people that go on the wall of fraud. What you do in the interim is you go out and you make the content that you want to see. Because if you're known in a commercial world, that means you already know how, if you're talking about from a production side, you know how to run a camera, you know how to run a crew. It's just a different story. So go shoot some small shorts. Competitions like this are a great way to do it as well. Go get some wins. Go get some official selected. Go get some things. And then promote that on your social media. Tone down on how much you're promoting your, commercial stuff, and start showing them more of the feature film things. And even maybe just have a couple candid conversations with the people who know you on your social media. Say, hey, we're doing some more feature films or some more feature narrative-based stuff. But go out there and make content and make people take notice. There was no one who gave us the approval to do fight choreography. Like, I didn't get to go to a specific class to say yada, yada, yada. We went out and we saw the kind of stuff that we didn't see, but we wanted to see locally happening in movies enough. And then we went out and we just did it. And we did it over and over again until people liked what they saw and we liked what we were producing, and called it a day. And then now that's what we're known for, those particular styles of violent fight choreography. But we didn't ask anybody. We just made it happen. And so sometimes to get things going in the right direction, it's going to take a whole lot of effort and willpower, and you just willing it to happen until people catch on and go, oh, okay, that's what it is.
I will say this real quick before we have to wrap up. The COVID stuff that's happening and all the other things that are happening in this world right now, I personally feel that what I just said, which is what has been the status quo within the industry, is probably going to shift, because people are looking for work, and how people produce and things like that are going to change. And the last thing is, don't ever do anything, if you can, in perpetuity, because you're locked into something. So yeah, so try to stay away from anything that says in perpetuity, or have somebody contract and negotiate that contract out of in perpetuity. So anyway, with that.
And hey, stick around for any of the stuff that you guys are asking. Feel free to ask this to every one of our panelists, and stick around, because some of these questions, we have people who are specialized in this, and they will be bringing these things to you and giving you the even better answers than we can give you. Let me put it that way.
Well, so, with that,
we good? Are we?
We're good for now. He's almost there. Eric's almost there, but I think we have our next guest coming up very shortly.
Really?
So
we're seeing what our producer is telling us. Look, we have producers now.
Yeah, producers. Woo!
Okay, so it looks like we're going to hang around for a little bit. Looks like we have a little more time. Anybody else have any questions? I see you guys having a conversation, Angela and Melissa. Awesome. That's what I love. I love to see this, because we were scared we weren't going to have a physical location for you guys to get together and meet and do exactly what you're doing in the comment section. So thank you. This is exactly what I want to see. Anybody else have any other kinds of film style questions or
I'll throw that
acting.
in there while we're waiting for a question. For those actors out there, just as well as for the film producers and directors and all that type of behind the camera, when you're trying to put your package together, make sure you have great headshots, get a really good demo reel, put your own package of who you are trying to get across to get to notice you together. So you can your story that you want to tell on screen is being noticed. So if you put all this effort into all these classes, don't get stuck in classes, because some people get stuck in classes and they don't ever come out of the classes. Out of the classes, because the best experience is actually on a set. So get on a set as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what you learn in a class, you still have to apply it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I did some training when I was in California, and one of the biggest things, it was really weird. I took a class, and they didn't let us take any notes. And they said, we want you to discover all this stuff. They're like, we're not going to tell you anything you don't already know. It was like a life class. They said, we're not going to tell you anything you don't already know, because they asked a question along the lines of like, how do you lose weight? And everybody said, diet and exercise. They said, why haven't you lost any weight? Because you already know the information. The question issue is not information, it's application and discovery and making it part of like
Discovery
here and in here. And so they wanted us to run it, conversation. They wanted us to use it in practice, to discuss it and experience it and talk about it. And it was it was a very life-changing thing. So fortunate, I wanted to ask Erik, because we mentioned like 4 or 5 books today. Yesterday we were talking about psycho-cybernetics. Something else came up today, Rebel Without a Reel, Rebel Without a Crew, where Robert Rodriguez has come up. Fantastic book, really got me going. And then there was Story by Robert McKee. So we got 3 books so far that have been coming up. I
got lots of books. So.
Gotcha. I see Carolina Marie. One thing right now is if you have a decent voice, like Danielle, as you can hear, should probably be some sort of a freaking talk show host.
We're talk showing together, so this is good.
See, it's a good time for my voiceover artists. And I've been talking to some of my friends about that. One of our panelists is a voiceover artist, and Chilimwe, Washington. I'm trying to tell people, hey man, get together, do a story time. You know, get something with a small crew, 3-4 people. I know another voiceover artist in Austin, Alex Yee. Trying to think of any other. There's a couple other ones I know. Tara Davis. Get together, make some stuff, read some books. You know what I mean? Think about it. We listen to podcasts, we listen to audiobooks all the time, and most audiobooks are terrible, by the way. Like literally, I don't know who the dude is that they're getting to read these audiobooks, but he should be fired because he's really, really bad. Really, 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 really boring. But I would love to hear a book that's got 3, 4, 5 different voices in it, be it a narrative or something that's even nonfiction, educational, you know? So
I do stories. Yeah. I do story time for kids.
Yeah. See, there we go. Boom. So what are some books that you think have been very beneficial to you?
Oh man. I'd have to look around because I jump around a lot, and then I'm on the internet a whole lot. So what has been really beneficial to me I'll say for acting, I'm going to say Uta Hagen. This is my favorite. So let's hear this. So anyway.
Okay, I might have to get on that.
Yeah, she's a fantastic. She's my favorite. So that depends on who you like as a teacher. So somebody can touch base with that. It depends on who it is. It depends on the business. So Dale Carnegie books.
Yeah. Any business book. Books are great for what we do because this is a business. All of them.
I have
The Alchemist.
Strategy books. Here's one. Creative Strategy in the Business of Design. That's the book I'm reading right now. So
I should probably read through that. Honestly, like, I'm the guy that would love to sit down and just like absorb information and be like a sage on a mountaintop. if someone would pay me to basically be like Joe Rogan and just like get all this information and talk to people and share it as much, I'd be totally down. Like, I'm that guy. Maybe when I'm like in my 50s and a little more seasoned, maybe I can get that going. But
I will say this for what we're talking about right now in the space of finance. Treat your art as a business.
Yeah.
This is a business. And when actors and film producers and creatives understand that, if they're trying to take it to another level, it is a business. It is not just something that you kind of play with here and there if you're trying to move it to a different space. And so learn how to do pitch decks, learn how to do some business planning for your, and to synchronize it to like one page. Get somebody that understands the numbers when it comes to things, and have them be a part of your team.
Gotcha.
Build a team of people.
I think Erik is here. Yeah, just Melissa said the Alchemist, and also someone else said the War of Art. Those are two other really, really good books that have been mentioned as being good.
Yeah.
Let me see, is Erik coming back in?
Yeah, I have too many.
Thanks. Oh, hey, huzzah!
Your mic is not up. We don't have sound on Erik.
I wish I had like the John Cena music. If I could run that, like his intro music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the best intro music in all of wrestling, for the record.
Volbeat is to me one of my favorite ones. It's a boxer that they're singing about in the song.
I'll have to take a look at it.
Very cool.
Oh, Melissa says you have a nice collection back there. Books. You know, when I moved from California to Texas, I had to get rid of like stacks and stacks of books, because I don't get rid of them. I just collect books on literally everything, and
these are almost everything. And I've got my 8-track, Melissa.
Ooh,
You're probably too young to really understand. This is my 9th birthday present. September. This is what I was listening to.
Erik, you with us on audio yet or no?
No, he's not.
That's still not okay. Let us know when you're back in the mix, man. All right, I'm gonna ask you a couple quick questions. Trying to think of some other books I read on film finance. I think someone mentioned the Guerrilla Rep book from a gentleman who did a lot of AFM. I suggest for people who are going to get on the film production side, like we're primarily focused on, I suggest that you look up the Film Markets AFM. And we're really, Austin Action Fest we're developing a small but hyper-focused AFM, a film market for action films because they travel. So if you have any sales agents or distributors who want to come get a good look at some content, this is where we're trying to bring them to boost the amount of attention also that Austin gets. So it's promoting independent filmmakers everywhere, but I mean, here in Austin, we got plenty of people that do action and don't know how to get any of that stuff financed. So
yeah.
Yeah,
we were talking about experience as well before. Sometimes people see something in you that you may not see in yourself when it comes to opportunity, and they want to give you that opportunity. Hop on it sometimes, take a chance, because they're probably going to mentor you through that space. And so, somebody asked me to direct something once, and I'm like, no, I'm an actress. I can't do that. But then I have all this professional experience where I directed in other businesses, and I'm like, okay. And I love directing. I truly love directing. It's a passion. Hey, Erik.
Hey, how you doing? I'm back. I think I sort of do some of these technical difficulties here.
Hey, we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, we're just over here freestyling.
But you're talking about books here, and I want to add my 2 cents. For writers, you need this book right here. You know, you have on how to put the page and stuff like that. You know, keep this around to save you time trying to figure out if you're doing it right. And then there's another one right here. Stories, Robert McKee is a good one.
Robert McKee, is that what that was?
Yeah. I have that one as well. It was one of the first books. Actually got stolen from me in an airport by some rat fink. And then I had to order it again on like Audible. So yeah, there was that. I think we should put together a list of filmmaking books that we really enjoy somewhere in Austin Action Fest just so people get them. My other one that I really enjoyed was How to Write a Screenplay in 21 Days.
Yeah.
Who made How to Write a Movie in 21 Days? Who wrote that?
I forget who wrote that, but that was for a while. I think I still have it somewhere in my library back here.
Yeah, it's Vicky King. That one helped me like really get going. And if you're gonna write a movie, we suggest you use Final Draft because they're awesome and they're the industry standard. Use whatever you got to use. Use whatever you have access to at the moment. But if you can get your hands on Final Draft, it will make it far, far easier. Erik, so quick question: as far as things are concerned with financing, couple quick, just give us some hard tips, some bullet points, some things that we got like 5 minutes. So give them like some stuff that they would never even know to think about. Top 3, things they should know or things they should avoid. Go.
All right, so for financing, what you want to think of is your post, right? Which is going to be your most important. Getting stuff in the can is like the first hurdle, and that's relatively easy, in terms of just figuring out how to put together a team of folks. If you know filmmakers, catch them on an off day or on a holiday session coming up from college, and you could put together a quick team, and then from there you get decent talent, and you just got to get everyone together and get this team together and get the film shot. Now, once the film is shot, the next important thing you have to do is just the post-production, because you can have the best footage without a solid post plan. That footage won't look as best it can look, so you have to dedicate some time and resources to having a solid, plan for post. And a lot of times that revolves around getting a post house that you can develop a relationship with, that'd be willing to offer you a discount. Things along those lines are things that I recommend pursuing. And don't just wait until your film is shot to start talking to them early and figuring out, how you can work with them. And if you can create a scenario where they know you're going to be a return customer, they'll be more likely to offer you those discounts, where they know that you can convince one of your films to bring their post there. And then so, for them, it becomes an investment in more business. So I think that I can't overstate how important it is for you to kind of develop that relationship with a solid post house, because you're gonna need a solid, sound mix, you're gonna need a solid coloring, pass, and you're gonna need all your deliverables, which all eat up time. The second thing is make sure you allocate time into your marketing items, So what I always do on independent films is I do the poster myself, I do the trailers myself, because that becomes super expensive. If you have a sales company do it for you, they're going to charge you like an insane markup. So you want to make sure you do those marketing items yourself if you can. And, and that also revolves around finding a good relationship with, a good poster artist and also a good, promo editor, which is different from a regular editor. Regular editors kind of, they can edit a movie, but a promo, or a trailer has a different cadence to it, a different rhythm. You got to find a good editor that specializes in those kind of, reels or those kind of, projects and stuff. So, and pretty much is, you just got to figure out a way to get your film in the can, I guess is the most important thing, because you can't do anything. Sometimes if you figure out how a way to finance your film and get it, shot, you can go back and raise money for post and use your film footage to kind of, excite investors at that point. But if you don't have anything shot, it's a harder lift, getting all your funds raised. So like, you got to think about it in 2 sections, first production and then post-production, as a second option or a second fundraise, goal. Gotcha.
So what's is there like a specific path that you think the typical indie film, independent film right now, started from scratch, I have no relationships, what's like to you the most reasonable path start to finish that it goes. I write a script, I go to a mixer, I meet a producer, he loves everything, he finances it, and then we go to Hollywood. Like, what do you think is like the ideal track?
Well, I think perfect world, your script is ready to go. You have the number of days you need to film the script already identified, your schedule's dialed in. So now it just becomes, okay, I have to go shoot it. The actors are all available, and all your gear and crew, your crew comes with all their gear, and they love you, and they want to bring it to you for free. And one project, that's like the perfect scenario. And then from there you go out there and film your movie. And then I think as far as that goes, you go through there without a lot of overtime and a lot of overages in terms of like additional days, and you kind of keep your schedule. And basically the way you have to think about it, and this is going to help you communicate with your investor and producer, you got to think about it in terms of how much are you spending per day, So if you look at it that way, you can avoid a lot of overages and kind of realize, okay, I'm spending this much per day. So little things are adding up. You can kind of like dip them in the butter, figure out solutions to kind of make sure they don't add up over a long period of time. You save yourself, some money there. And then once you get your film made, you have to have some kind of plan for a festival circuit, just so you can get some reefs and some laurels. And so, all that has to kind of be factored into in terms of like your timeline. How soon can I start submitting to these festivals? How soon can I do this? And then from there, your sales come, concurrently or simultaneously. That way you're having updates of, new festivals that go along with your sales pitch and your press kit.
Gotcha. So it sounds like a lot of project management.
Oh, absolutely. Tons of, as a creative, you're not going to be able to do that yourself. Hopefully you have smart people that are working with you, or right-brained people that they can, keep things on glide path, and make sure that you hit all those benchmarks. Because you just, as soon as you finish, all your releases have to be simulated and assembled. Next is going to be your producer's kit. All your deliverables. Your E&O insurance. You have to get all your title reports, your proof of title, your chain of title reports. All those things have to be assembled. So you need that editing and getting the film made. So it's a huge process that you definitely got to have, some kind of project management software, or some kind of project manager that's kind of, seeing things through to the end.
Okay. Well, I think we have any more time, producer, mystery producer? We got time, or we gotta wrap things up?
No, I have some more time. I know I missed a few questions out there, so I like to tap onto those if they're still out there.
Okay.
The gaming question, you want to throw that at him?
Oh, yeah. So we got asked, do you think that writing a script for someone making like a video game is any different than writing a script for a movie?
Yeah, it is. If you go look at the video game storylines, there's a little bit of a different rhythm to video game stories. Some of the elements are still going to be the same in terms of the character arcs and the character development, the backstories. So it's going to be some similarities to what you see in an ordinary film. But if you go back and look at a video game and go through like the campaign mode, whatever it is on it, you're going to see that the act breaks are a lot different. Where you get to a certain point to where you cut away and let the action happen. Where this happens here, then all of a sudden this action happens. So a lot of it, you'd have to have a gamer, maybe assist you, or if you're not a gamer, but a game engineer kind of come with you with ideas where you could make these act breaks, so your story can be acted out or played or voiced by the user, so more or less and stuff. And so I think that'd be a little complicated on your first time doing it. But after you do it, I think the first time you figure out that rhythm, you probably have some good ideas on where you should break, for the game to actually start happening.
Gotcha. That's actually good. Thank you. So that was from Michael Walcott. Another Another one we got was, or good question is, what's like the biggest mistake you see people make when it comes to getting a film financed?
We got about a minute.
Yeah.
So the biggest mistake, I guess, is not allocating time for money for post, because a lot of time is where they think they can get by and they know someone, and a lot of times that person or that relationship hasn't been tested on this level, and you realize it's going to cost more money, or what they're willing to do for you at the price isn't going to be at the level you need to deliver your film. So I see that happen a lot with the post deals and stuff like that. So you really got to test that relationship with a short film and or something like that to make sure they can deliver the level of quality you need.
Gotcha. And if, finally, thank you so much for coming. But if people wanted to follow your work and your new projects and maybe reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get in contact?
You look at our social media. We have TLG Motion Pictures. Is going to be our Facebook page. We're on Twitter too as well. So if you send a message there or post anything there on our wall, I'll definitely see it. So that'd be the best way to get a hold of us. And you can follow us for updates here on our TV programs and our films as we progress along. And we have an actual website, tlgmotionpictures.com, where you can follow and reach out to us via the contact. We have the big pitch going on right now in Seattle, and we're looking to bring that over here to Texas, where we're looking to identify one project every quarter and put the money behind development and help see if we can bring that project further along.
Melissa, are you listening? Melissa, he's talking to you.
Yeah, definitely. And so reach out, and bring your A game. That's it. So we're really passionate about that and looking to see how we can help those voices, make it to the big screen and get those good stories out.
And help us. We'd love to get involved in helping people get better at these pitch competitions and things like that. So we'll reach back out to us about that so we can help you facilitate that process, boss.
And
Absolutely.
Erik, you'll be back some other times with us throughout the year. So we'll touch base some more with you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
everyone. Good luck, all filmmakers out there.
Thank you, Erik.